Hey everyone, welcome back.
Hi, everyone. I am so excited about this topic. This was actually presented to me a while ago by a friend of mine in Chicago, Ann Casey, because I, as we've already talked about, am getting my hip replaced. In fact, as of this dropping, I will be getting my hip replaced tomorrow, May 15th. And so this is a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, as well as millions of people worldwide, which is living with chronic pain and its impact on mental health.
Uh, yeah. And we want to talk about the interconnection here because it's huge. And I saw a really interesting article on psychiatry.org when we were talking about doing this, and it highlights the interconnectedness between chronic pain and mental health.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say it's eye-opening, but having experienced it myself, I don't know that I'm super surprised, but it's really interesting that depression, anxiety, PTSD, that's I thought was fascinating, can sort of co-occur, so to speak, with chronic pain. I have definitely felt anxiety and depression on days in the last 18 months since my hip pain started, which again, hopefully will be over after tomorrow.
I wish it was, like, we are recording these early. I really wish it was tomorrow for you.
I know, me too.
That's interesting about the PTSD because as
Yeah,
someone who has, been dealing with that, with our stuff,
yeah.
I've learned a lot about that. And I think we both read, I don't know if I think you have, like, I read The Body Keeps the Score, and you talk about how like
Mm-mm.
the pain of emotional memories can manifest as physical pain in the body, and
Yeah,
the correlation between the two. I think that people are learning more and more about it. But we talked about this with the grief for me. And
yeah,
essentially what it sounds like you're saying is that, and what they're saying and what you're saying is pain alters your state,
yeah,
because in
yeah,
general it's fair to say your baseline hasn't been one with anxiety or depression, but obviously pain has like given you some opportunity to go, oh, I see how this goes, like I see how this can manifest.
yeah. I mean, I do, as we talked about, I think in last week's episode, like my kids both have diagnosed anxiety and or depression, right? I
Mhm.
think Charlotte's is a little more anxiety, Liam's more depression. I have never been had any of those diagnoses, and I would never seek it out. I've been anxious. I've certainly had days where I feel sad, but it's a different level when I'm having what I call a high pain day,
Mhm.
and I think so. There's two separate things, right? There's the anxiety that I have around having to be active. You know this because you were here to see Charlotte and Violet. She's had so many events where we have to go to school. And last year in particular, when I was really starting to feel the pain, um, we would go to these events and they wouldn't have the elevators open. I think they've since now realized there's, grandparents that want to come. And Baba has a lot of stairs. And so I would get out if we yeah, a lot. If we parked in the parking garage, which is not always open, great, we could walk straight through. But if we have to park out on the sort of street, so to speak, my immediate thought is, fuck, I have to walk up all these stairs. And it is like looking at climbing a mountain because I can either walk foot over foot and be in severe pain, or I am walking the same foot, my good foot, up
Mm.
one step at a time, which vanity, mentally, like it's just upsetting to be like, I am not even 55 years old and I am walking like this. Now, I want to talk about these things I say to myself. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I look at these stairs and I'm immediately exhausted. And then I actually am physically exhausted when I get to the top of them. And so it just taints the idea of any going to any events that Charlotte's obviously doesn't keep me from it, but it's just like, oh, you know,
And this is a mother who went to every night, like, and you do
yeah,
that, that's, I mean, you really show up for your kids.
yeah.
And
And then
having,
and then the depression comes in on a bad payday, as I said
yeah,
earlier, where
yeah.
it even though I know I am, and I know people that have chronic pain that there is no surgery for it, so I feel lucky that I know there is an end time for mine. But even knowing that, let's say 6 weeks from May 15th, I should be right as rain and be walking like a completely normal human being without pain. And I kind of can't comprehend that, but theoretically, that's what's going to happen. Even knowing that on my bad pain days, it feels like I'm never going to get out of it. And so I'm tired and I'm weepy and I'm sad and I'm emotional about the stupidest things. And so that's where I feel like kind of it's not just a sad, it's a deep ennui, a deep sadness, you know. So that's to me where I sort of feel like the depression piece comes in. And then add on that, like, then I'm really effing tired of talking about it, you know, but I do vocalize pain. And as we've talked about, like, I vocalize a lot of this stuff. And so I feel super whiny and irritated by myself. So there's just a lot
You're
of
not.
layers.
You're not, though. It's interesting. Like, I mean, you might be with Darren, probably, you know, hears it the most because you live there with him, but I've talked to you quite a bit. I'm with you more than people would guess, being in two different states. And I mean, yes, the difference between what you're able to do and what you're, you know, up for has dramatically changed in 6 months.
Yes.
And I look forward to that, like you feeling like you again for your sake. But it has not been unpleasant for me. I don't notice you barely mention it. You barely bring it up. So if it's going on in your mind, it's not externally coming out as much as you probably think. And it's a complex relationship. Oh, sorry,
it is. And
ahead.
no, it's okay. I was just gonna say, I think Darren, goddess bless him, like he jokingly was like, I can't wait for you to stop talking about this. But he truly did mean, because you won't be in pain anymore. But you know, he is around me when I'm getting up, and the longer the day goes on, the worse it gets, right? So at night, I'm very much, and maybe it isn't so much vocal, but I'll stand up and I just have to stand there because I can't move, you know. So it's those little things, and like I said, so I'm just sick of myself. But yes,
I think that's like, there's a lot of people in my life that I adore, including you, that are living with chronic pain that are just done talking about it. And I'll say to my friend, I'm like, God, even, you know, I haven't checked in about your back in a while. Is it better? And she's like, no, it's just like, I've learned to live with it and I don't want to talk about it all the time. Like, God. So and I mean, we know as coaches too, you know, like, and not everybody needs talk therapy. It's really annoying for someone. It doesn't help, but it's a complex relationship that needs to be addressed holistically in some way. How it's affecting your mood, how, you know, shifting mood and beliefs and outlook and all that can possibly help, but really, like, it's just a conversation that needs to happen where you like kind of figure out what's affecting the other. And I imagine it shifts.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think, you know, like anything, when I'm not thinking about it, it hurts less. And so I think, again, that's kind of the indicativeness of it being at the end of the day, it's worse because I'm settled in for the night and I'm not mentally, I'm listening to music or whatever. So I think I feel it more at the end of the day. You know, physically I've moved, so that might be part of it. But when I'm thinking about it, it hurts worse. And so when you talk about holistically, yes, I mean, there are things medically that can help with chronic pain, but a lot of it can be helped by the way you talk to yourself, for sure.
Right. I know. Yeah. I was going to say that, like, I hear all kinds of things and I'm always a little doubtful, like, you know, just because meditation helps some people, it doesn't mean it's going to help everyone, but I think it's true. Like, I think, and there's a lot of research about it. Yeah.
I think what's interesting too, in when you were preparing the notes, I think we started from a place because I experience, like, because I'm in pain, I'm feeling differently mentally, but people with chronic mental health issues can also feel pain differently. So I thought that was an interesting sort of, it's not just a one-way street. So you read the article? Tell me more about what you read.
I think I mean, it was more of a surface article. I didn't get a lot of examples of it, but the way I understood it, and I was talking to some people in my family who have chronic back issues, and one of them said their back issues came during a deep depression. Interesting. And you know, I think it was the way their like posture was and the way they were in bed a lot. So I wonder if there was some of that, but also I think the way it was explained is there's just a huge awareness when you're in depression, like a huge sensitivity and awareness of what's going on. And if you have anxiety and you start to fear that it's something, it can really start to amplify.
Yeah,
what you're
no, that makes
feeling.
total sense.
Like, I have a headache, I'll take Advil. Someone else has a headache, I might have a tumor, right? Is what they're thinking. And so,
I'm only
so
laughing
there's a
because
lot of
that was
studies.
Darren did that all. Darren used to do that all the time. He's like, I probably got brain cancer. I'm like, dude, you have a headache.
But I think that like this referred to a study that I'm really fascinated and want to go back to and learn more about, because I mentioned it to Brendan, like the 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 pain scale stuff. Do you remember the
Yeah.
scale that Brendan made for Griffin with the dogs? But pain scale stuff, people report higher levels of pain when they've been on you know, they've been on the internet searching symptoms.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating. And
Well,
that could be an anecdotal thing, so I want to go investigate it, but I just thought that was interesting. Yeah, the more you've thought about it, the more it hurts. And I'm guessing people who are in deep pain, who haven't, deep emotional pain, who haven't moved out of that yet, probably everything hurts.
well,
I've definitely been there when I'm down and like my body hurts.
yeah,
And it's not from working out.
yeah. But okay, so two things come to mind. One, I know you're a fan of this book, the Louise Hay book, where it talks about, if you do have a certain pain, the one that always comes to mind is I remember having some lower back pain once, and I was talking to a student at the time, and she was like, oh, according to Louise Hay, lower back pain is tied to financial worries. And at the time, I don't remember what it was, but I think I was worried about money. So there is that whole attachment of like where you might be feeling pain. There is a place that it's tied to in your mind, something that you're worried about. And if you focus on a positive affirmation, so I've got the book sitting here and I don't have it off the top of my head, but nope, here it is. Oh, my stuff. Oh yeah, Heal Your Body. So, you can look up whatever your pain is. Yeah. And it tells you, what might be happening in your mind, and then it gives you an affirmation to focus on. So again, the meditation, to go back to the idea around if you're in a deep depression, to how's the mental. There was an article, I didn't go deep into this one, but I've been using an app called Hinge Health. And it luckily it's a I think anybody can use it. It happens to be a benefit with Darren's work. So I've been using it since the beginning of the year. It's very cool because you get a health coach, you get a PT, and it's all virtual. And tell them things, and then they give you like a 10-minute PT every day, physical therapy every day through the app. And then there's an article, which I think is really cool. So there's an article after every one. And one of the ones I read when I was researching this, I read a couple of them, but this one said that people who had placebo surgeries still felt better from then. In obviously people that had real surgeries felt better, but even a placebo surgery where nothing really was fixed, but they think it was,
Were they
better.
Just put under and nothing happened?
It didn't go deep. These articles are only a few things, but it was like, there is a huge connection, mind-body connection, which you and I already know. And so the one article that I was reading more deeply in researching for this was talking about the way you speak to yourself, right? So if I keep saying to myself, I'm walking like an old person, I'm never going to feel better, then it actually puts you into fight, flight, or freeze. And so that fear is amplifying the pain. So if I instead say to myself, I'm in pain today, but I'll feel better later, I'll feel better tomorrow, I'm getting the surgery, I will be perfect in 6 weeks or whatever, like that can lighten the load. And I have done that. I have done that where I've thought, okay, I have to walk to the grocery store. I'm going to be fine while I walk to the grocery store. I would just say that to myself, and I would have less pain walking to the grocery store. What happens is I don't think to say that before I leave. And so I step outside and I start to walk to the grocery, and I'm like, oh, God, I'm in so much pain. So it's like, it's almost like I have to remember to protect myself before I walk out the door.
And that helps.
Yeah.
That's so great.
So it's like an NLP thing. Like, changing your thoughts can change your pain. Doesn't mean my hip is going to magically be better. My hip needs to be replaced. But up until I replace it, I can have thoughts that make me feel less pain.
I love that you have experience with this shifting your neural pathways. It reminds me a lot of, what we do somatically as coaches when we're like, okay, well, we can get to something really, something they're anxious about or something that's really making them feel stuck, something they're very emotional about. Where do you feel it in your body?
Yeah.
And, and that's fascinating too, right? If someone feels it in their throat, often it's like about not having a voice, but if someone's feeling it in their gut or their chest, sometimes people will be like, my legs in my head. I'm like, okay, right? Like, let's bring a lot of attention and love there. Maybe put a hand there, maybe breathe into it. What does it feel like right now? And so often in these sessions, they'll be like, it's a stabbing pain, or it's just dull, or it's tight. And God, my whole back hurts. Or, if it's their back they're talking about, whatever it is. And then we'll kind of figure out like what's being held there. What's the message? What does it want for you? And the more and more we just kind of let that unfold and let it get heard, it probably sounds strange to you if you've never done anything like that. Like every single time afterwards, we'll be like, oh, okay, so now that it's had a chance to be heard, what's it feel like now in that part of your body? And every single time it feels a little different. Sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, it's gone. That pain is gone, or it feels a lot less tight, or it feels much looser and I feel like I can breathe better again. That's amazing to me. That's not me. That has nothing to do with me. That is
you're
like
the master at guiding people through that. Let's be clear.
Where they are holding it, really matters. And so like, I am not at all suggesting that you would be coached out of your hip pain, but it is interesting how much extra we can hold pain somewhere when we're emotional about it.
I agree 100%. And so it's really been, as I said, it's been one of these things where it's like, and I'm close to being done. Technically we're doing this about 4 weeks before the surgery, but I wish I had read those articles a little sooner to really understand. Not that I don't know a mind-body connection, but to really understand that when I'm saying, God, I feel so old, or oh, I'm in so much pain, even probably calling something, that's why I try not to say I'm in so much pain. I try to say I'm having a high pain day. It's like I'm experiencing high pain. So I've tried to do some of that, but I do know I've had the experience of trying to positively say I'm fine and feel less pain. So I just wasn't good over the course of time of really protecting myself that way. So maybe I'll spend this last month trying to be more positive.
Well, I mean, be whatever you need to be. And when you hear all this, when our listeners hear this, they know this is happening for you tomorrow. So send a lot of love. If they listen to it, obviously the day it drops. But I think what occurs to me here is it becomes an identity, and you must be so looking forward to like you said, you're doing the work around like, I'm still Lisa, I'm experiencing pain, but won't it feel good to feel like Lisa without pain?
I don't know what that's going to be like. I can't, because I think because I don't totally know. I know I'm going to be out of pain. I know that's true. I don't know. Like, I have been stiff and sore for as long as I can remember, like probably 5-10 years. In fact, I was joking with Charlotte's two besties were over the other night, and they were like, you're in pain? And I was like, have you seen me walk? They said, well, all moms walk that way. And I was like, fair. Okay, fair. Yes. But I thought, but to sort of your point, right? I say I'm complaining all the time. You say I never hear it. I say I feel like I'm walking like I've lost a leg, that I'm so limpy. The girls don't ever even see it. Charlotte is used to me walking like this. She probably doesn't have a memory. She knows I'm in more pain right now, but in terms of the way I walk, I don't know that she remembers me walking normally, so to speak.
Just remember, it wasn't that long ago you were running, and and like last summer we were like hooking it up and down the beach.
I know.
So you don't. I've noticed that only because we've talked about it, right?
Right. Like when I was in
I will
town,
ask
we couldn't
you.
Do hikes.
I will ask you over text, and you will tell me.
Yeah.
But that's different than like seeing or hearing. Like, I have to remind myself, like, oh, I should slow down because she's probably in pain.
Right. Yeah, yeah, you're probably right. It's as anything, you know, when you're experiencing something, 90% of it's an internal conversation in your
Sure.
head, you know. But yeah, this idea of being able to just walk, it's going to be mind blowing to me for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah, so
I can't wait for you. I can't wait.
me either. So,
So song time.
yes. And I love this because in another article I was reading on CNN, because I was, you know, oftentimes we've said this before, song comes to mind really easy for a topic. But I was like, okay, well, if I look up songs about pain, it's going to be like heartbreak and blah, blah, blah. But I just Googled songs about pain, and this article came up on CNN, and it said researchers have found that people who listen to bittersweet and melancholy moving songs feel less pain than if they're listening to sort of calming or cheerful music. So the only thing I can imagine is it's sort of like misery loves company. I don't know.
Yes.
But I thought,
Well, I think about that. Listening to sad songs during a breakup does seem to allow people to just cry, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and that always makes you feel better. So maybe that is similar.
Yeah, it could be. I also wonder, like, if it's something high up tempo and you're sort of wanting to move, and then you're like, "Ooh, ow, that hurts," or whatever. I
Right,
don't know,
right.
but I just thought that was interesting. So, this isn't necessarily a song about pain, but I know you and I both love this song. I tried to find the
Mhm.
most melancholy song I could think of, and so I picked "I Just Don't Think I'll Ever Get Over You" by Colin Hay, who I was. Colin Hay was actually probably my first rock star crush, which is so
Oh,
weird. But I had such a crush on him when in Men at Work back in 1980,
I could
81,
see
82.
that.
Yeah, I had
I
a
could
huge
see
crush on
that.
him. So I decided to read some of these lyrics because they are very sweet and bittersweet and hopeful on some level as well. So again, the song's called "I Just Don't Think I'll Ever Get Over You," Colin Hay, and the lyrics I picked was, "I still find pieces of your presence here. Here I am, even after all these years. And I don't want you thinking that I don't get asked to dinner, because I'm here to say that I sometimes do. And even though I may seem to feel a touch of love, I just don't think I'll ever get over you. If I lived until I was 102, I just don't think I'll ever get over you." I love
Hmm.
that song.
That's sweet. Yeah,
It's such a good
that
song.
is bittersweet. And
Yeah.
we've gone from really sunny and warm to kind of gray and rainy today. So it matches my weather.
I'm sorry for you. That
That's
sucks.
okay. It's
It's
actually
also a little gray here.
it's actually like, in Portland, we welcome it after a little stretch like that because we like it to water the flowers, but we just don't
Yes.
want it to stay.
Yeah, I get that.
Mm.
Well, thank
Oh,
you for doing this conversation with us, with me,
yeah,
us.
of course. And for me, it's been a really important conversation because it renews my compassion. I think I've told you this before. Like as compassionate and sensitive as everyone knows I can be, anyone who knows me, I should say, knows I can be. I haven't always been that way about chronic pain or things like, especially things like people throwing their backs out. I remember being kind of like, well, just get up, like really
Yeah.
not having a sense of what that's like for people until like I broke a bone. And I was
Mm.
mentioning to you before we hit record my experience with severe, there is a word for it too. I think it's dysmenorrhea, maybe severe period pain, like cramping pain,
Yeah.
PMS, like physical pain where I couldn't even walk, but my parents like got to go to school. Like if I were to equate that and think about it, I'm like, wow, I have so much compassion and admiration and just, like heartbreak for people who have to live like that and how it alters things for them. And grief is definitely something that's giving me a window into that.
Mm.
So it just renews my awareness for those around me living in pain. It sucks. And I'm so happy that there's a solution for you, right? That's gonna put an end to that part of your experience.
Yeah. Thank you. So if you guys think, oh, I would love to hear this, I'd love to hear Lisa and Kari talk about this. We do listen. If you guys
Yeah.
have a good topic, we have another one somebody just recently suggested to us that we're going to do a little bit later in the year. But if you have an idea of something you want Kari and I to talk about, send us a message at the Things We Know podcast 23 at gmail.com, or DM us on our Facebook or our Instagram, because, these are the things we know, but we love to do the research and talk about the things that are interesting to you guys as well.
Right. And to your point, even if it's a topic we've done and you want us to go at a different angle or, go deeper, we love that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So as always, please follow and like our pages, follow the pod, all the things.
And if you are out there in any kind of pain, we hope you're getting the support you desire. And we hope that this has lifted your pain even for this little short amount of time, just to be heard and seen and held.
I know that a lot of us are going through it in some way, shape, or form. And the next time you hear me, I will be better.
Woohoo.
Huzzah. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Please take care of yourselves and each other. Bye.
Bye.